So I thought we'd do a little video on this drive shaft here. As you can see, we're getting close there, the boot's completely degraded and more or less ripped open, so it needs changing, and we certainly didn't want to not change this one and find it went later on, so we took the drive shaft out and we're going to completely refurbish it, paint it up, change both boots and give it a generally good clean up and check over, and I thought I'd show the progress. So we have showed in other videos the drive shaft being removed, and I think we've even showed the boot being changed, one of the boots, but I thought we were going to change both boots on this drive shaft. It would be nice to follow it through the progress, so that's what we're going to do. The first thing we've got to do, of course, is remove the old rubber boots and then start the clean up process. That's what we're going to do next. Right, so as you can see, what we're doing is cleaning that up like we normally do, because it's really sort of messy and a lot of grubbiness and grease on it. We've even left the rubber boots on so that not too much gets in it, and we'll clean it off as much as we can, then remove the rubber boots and do any other clean that needs doing. And the idea is we'll hopefully re-grease and clean them all out as well. We don't want extra dirt getting into them, so we've left those boots on while we clean it. Right, so we've got that a bit cleaner. Now we're going to remove the clips. And actually the boots haven't done too bad, because we've had the car at least 7 years and we haven't changed them. And we know that for definite because the clips that are used are not ones that we use. They don't come in the kits and we've never added them. So that's one good thing. They've not done too bad. Now all we're going to do is get them off. Right, so that's the next clip off. We'll get on and get the other two clips removed. Yeah, so we're now going to cut the boot off, and although this one is quite degraded and you can see quite a few areas where it's about to go, it's still quite tough to get off, which shows you just how strong they really are. Oh, so that's the boot off, and as I said, we'll clean out all the old grease before we put the new boot on, and we've got that boot removed. Yeah, so the oil's really degraded in that one, so that will definitely be a good opportunity to change it. Right, so we're just cleaning all that oil that's run out, quite a lot run out of that one, so it had really gone thin and degraded.
You notice that's a sliding one.
If you turn it over, we can have a look inside it, can't we? No, actually. Ah, yes, you can actually
See it in there?
Yeah. If you lift it up again, you can see there, you can, as the oil runs away, yeah, you can just about see it. And hopefully we'll get a better view once we've cleaned it all out. Well, if you show the other one in a minute as well, once we've got that.
Well, it shows the difference between them. They're both constant velocity joints, but work a little bit differently.
Right, so we're going to separate these. We're putting the hub nut on because normally it drops away and you don't want to damage the thread. But if we just turn it up and just show like we did in that one.
See, this one doesn't move up and down, it just articulates, if you like.
Moves around. Yeah, and again, we get a better view once it's all cleaned out.
We'll have to clean that out. It's absolutely rotten in there. You know why that is, don't you? This is where the one's been split, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice and even.
Right, so what we're going to do is separate it. As you can see, we've got a pad there, so if it falls, which it probably will do, it hopefully shouldn't be too damaged. And yeah, if you're lucky, it goes like that. It doesn't always come out as easy as that. That's how it should come out. So that's them now separated, and we can completely clean that out.
That's the spring clip that holds it on.
Oh, yeah. See
That's what you have to knock it sharp back over that to get it back on again. It's got that joint in it there.
So that's come away. That side on this type you can't remove, so it'll be a case of cleaning it out as it is. This side we've removed, so we can clean it out, and you can see there how those splines go into there like that, and you'll get a much better view once it's cleaned out.
This one wears out, you've got to change the whole drive shaft.
Yeah. So as you can see there, we're just giving that another little clean up, especially around the ABS ring. Right, so what we're doing now is we really want to give them a good clean, especially being that grease had almost gone to like altering one of them. So we've got them in our parts washer. We took out the sort of tray you'd normally have in there, and we just got them soaking a little bit to try and sort of dislodge any of that grease and dirt. Then we're going to get them out after they've been soaking for a time and wash them off. Right, so we're now going to be washing all that grease off and making it a lot better. Again, it's something you wouldn't necessarily always do, but these were particularly bad, and we want to completely repack them with new grease, with the new boots, almost like a completely refurbished drive shaft. So for us it's worth doing, so we're going to get on now and clean them all out. It's a sort of a steady process, but this parts washer will certainly help it, and it stops the dirt building up in a little bucket of cleaning solution like you'd normally get. Right, so as you can see, that's looking a lot better than it was with all that grease in, and actually soaking it and being able to jet the dirt out has really got it out, and you can now see a little bit more how it's working with the drive shaft going in and those sort of big balls with the cap, and how it can all turn but still give you drive. So it's quite nice to have a look in there. We still might do a little bit of wire brushing to the outside just to get that a little bit better, but the inside is certainly looking a lot better and ready to pack with the new grease. So now all we've got to do is get on and clean this piece in the part washer as well, and get all that dirty grease out that was really stuck in there. So yeah, I thought what we'd do just before we put that away and start cleaning that one, you can see there a little bit about how that moves round, but would still transmit the drive. Right, so what we've done is blown out now all the fluid from the parts washer, so that doesn't sit in there, and what we do is give it a little spray of WD just to make sure that the dampness doesn't come back and you don't get any rust, and obviously you don't want those little baubles and those mechanisms completely dry of no grease either. So we'll do that now. And that will protect it then until we pack it all with grease, because that's not going to be straight away necessarily. Right, so again we're now going to be washing out this part, and again this is really hopefully going to get some of that horrible sort of oil that's or grease that's gone like a runny oil out of there, so we can pack it with nice new grease. And as we say, it's more or less kind of refurbishing it as much as you can do, without replacing any parts apart from the rubber boots that we're replacing, of course. So again, we're going to let that jet go in there and really wash out, and we are finding that the letting it soak has definitely helped as well. So as you can see there, it's certainly getting a lot of that dirt out, and we've just blown out all the water, but there is still some sort of remnants of grease that we want to try and get out, so we may let it soak in just a little bit of thinners. With the other one, the WD actually acted as a kind of a cleaner and a lubricant, which we will still do with this one, but we just want to try and get out as much as we can.
Just as a final.
So There we go, just going to let that now soak, and hopefully that'll get rid of some of those remnants of grease. Then we'll clean it back out and put some WD in, but that hopefully has got all that sort of really horrible old grease in there, which technically could have been in there since day one. So we definitely wanted that out so we can pack it with nice new grease. Right, so as we said, we're now going to give this a little bit of a wire brush because it just wasn't quite clean enough, even with all that soaking and part washer cleaning. Right, so we've tipped that fillers out after it's soaking for an hour or so, and as you can see that's looking a lot better even more. What we want to do now is just clean up the outside a little bit more with the wire brush, and again we'll put some WD in that to clean out the rest of it and also protect it till we re-grease it. Right, so that's now nicely wire brushed, and we're just going to put a little bit of WD in to protect it, and in some ways this acts like a last cleaner as well. So yeah, that's nicely done and ready for us to start rebuilding with the rubber boots and then finally paint. Right, so we're now ready to put our universal rubber boots on. We've bought two like that and we find they're all right. It's just a case of cutting them to size so you don't get too much access, which then can get caught up or end up ripping. And as always, we're using the cone to do it. This one, as we said, doesn't come off, so that's why you need the cone, and you can't go on from the other way because you've got this rubber dampener there, which again is not very easy to get off. You probably damage it if you did try and get it off. So that's the way we do it. What we always do is use some of the grease that comes with your kit. It depends on the kit. Some come with 2 packets, others come with 1. Lucky enough this packet only came with 1, but as though lucky enough we had a spare packet from another kit, because if we just didn't need all the grease that came with it. But we found with these cones, the more grease used the better it goes on. You certainly can't use a silicone spray like it implies. We've found the only way it works is to covering it as much of the grease that comes with it for putting in the joints as you can, and that does help it get on and makes it a little bit more possible. So that's what we're doing now, just getting all the grease on that. We'll also put a little bit of grease on the rubber boots as well. Right, so I'm going to put a little bit of grease on the rubber boot, and once that's done we'll be all ready to do it. And we've turned that inside out ready, because as you put it on it then will go the right way. It's just a case of pulling it down. It is a bit of a struggle, and it's so tight normally almost squeegees all the grease off the cone, but it is a way that does seem to work. That's what we do. Oh, and that's it over. So still a little bit of a struggle, but it's about the easiest you can do it with that sort of cone. The only other way is with the air operated tools that put it on, but this works fairly well. So now it's back the right way round. All you've got to do is clean the grease off, and then we'll be ready to pack the new joint with the grease that comes in our kit. And again, that's another thing, it's always worth keeping the packets of grease. If you get extra grease, it's worth keeping, because with this one doing both and the kit only coming with 1 packet of grease, that does leave you a little bit tight. So it's well worth keeping any extra packets you get in kits. Right, so we're just cleaning some of that grease off. The hardest bit with this one is getting this collar back the right way, because as it goes on reverse, you've got to pull it back out, and this rubber joint gets in your way and pulling the boot up a little bit to get it back down. But now that's done, it'll be a case of getting it all into the right positions, and of course we've got to put the grease inside the joint, and then we'll be putting the bands on, which again came with the kit, and lucky enough we've got the special tool for doing that as well. But it's technically possible to do it without the tool, but it makes things a lot easier. We've certainly found so having that tool to do it. Right, so we're just putting all the grease in, and again, because we've removed everything out, we've probably been putting slightly more in than you normally would, but again, you don't want too much in so that it forces out and sort of kind of almost blows the boot off, or can put it under pressure, but you want enough so that you're not going to get wear and the joint's not going to be damaged. Just giving a little clean round, then we'll position the boot so that we can cut off any access that's needed, so that it's not too tight, but there's not too much rubber boot there that can get caught up on anything. As I said, we're using the clips that come with the kit, and then hopefully you can see there's like two little hooks that hook into those slots. You get it as tight as you can hooked into those slots round, and then the tool grips that lumpy bit on and really pulls it tight, so once it's on tight they just cannot come out, and they seem to work fairly well. So we get it positioned and get those on. Right, so as you can see, we've got the band on and how it's gripping there, and we've crimped that, and what we've done is tried to get it on the original groove that was done probably from the factory, because often we put it on this wider bit here because there's a groove to stop it slipping down, but the problem is it can catch on the gearbox, which is probably why originally it was done like that. Sometimes it's not easy to do with the boot kits, but it looks like this time it's gone in, so hopefully that's going to work better, and then we'll be able to just cut this boot away, and you've then got the right proportion of flexible drive. Next one to do is this bit, which is should be fairly easy. It's just a little bit fiddly because it is quite a small clip to get round. Right, so that's now the bottom band on. What we normally do is just tap that little bit of clip over at the end, because it can sometimes stick out and it could get caught and rip itself out of those teeth, so we always like to do that, and we'll probably do it on the bigger band as well. That just makes sure that little edge there cannot just sort of get caught on anything and undo itself. So that's it now on. All we have to do is just cut down the rubber, so we've got a good fit.
Make sure it's got enough flexibility.
Yeah, as you can see there, we just moved it, and there's enough flexibility. That boot's not under any sort of real strain, so the access is right to cut off now. Right, so now what we're going to do is put the boot on the other, and that's a lot easier because we could disconnect that piece away from the drive shaft, so we can just slide that in, re-grease the drive shaft, and then fix it all together. So we're going to slide that rubber down and then start greasing up the end there. Right, so as you can see, that's all nice and clean. We've got the nice new rubber boots. What we're going to do now is get some nice new grease in there. Again, it's one of those things you want just the sort of right amount, not too much, but not too little. We'll be probably putting in a little bit more than perhaps you might do, because we have completely cleaned it out so that it has completely new grease in there. Right, so we're going to get on with working that grease in. Right, so we're now going to put the little bit of grease there on the splined part of the shaft.
Try and hold the ring central.
Because what we've got to do, if you remember, we tapped it out and it tapped it over that little ring. We've now got to get it back on that ring without damaging it, because if you get it wrong, that ring could sort of come out of position, and maybe it won't notice this time. If you ever have to get it off again, it could be near impossible. That's what we did have. One of those rings had got damaged the last time it'd been done, so when we come to do it, we couldn't actually get that off, and we had to end up buying a new one of these and damaging it more or less to get it off the shaft there. So yeah, it's something to be aware of and to be careful as well. And there you can see we've got it nicely packed with grease, and again, as that joint is used, that grease will get more and more worked in there as well, and there's a nice sort of reservoir of grease down underneath that will come back up through and work in. So what we're going to do is get that gently eased on ready, so that you can feel it's gone on and ready to go over that clip. We've put the old hub nut on so we don't damage the threads.
Oh, sharp that. First time. Yep, it's gone straight on.
Yes, as you see there, that tap on and it's jumped straight on. So now all we've got to do is then get the rubber boot in position, again line it up so we can cut off the access we don't want, and get those bands on that come on with the kit. Right, so we've now got the boot positioned, and as you can see we have some to cut off, and we've got it all ready to put the band around this bit here to cut off the access. We've got that position happy, there's enough movement, and I think we did forget, so that is a lead hammer that we used to tap on there. So as well as the old hub nut being there to protect it, it was a lead hammer, so no damage is done to that thread. So we're now going to get that metal ring on, again that came in the kit, and crimp it with our tool. Right, so as you can see now, we've got the band on, but we haven't used the tool. So we've pulled it round, it's hooked in the 3 little slots, and we've now got it ready to use the crimping tool. So I'm just going to hold that there to make sure that it can't slip out, and then the tool will pull that tight, locking it in. It's one of those things that the tighter it gets, the more they hold in. So that's now on. We'll be able to cut that rubber afterwards. What we're going to do first is put on the bottom little rubber hook first. We'll just give that a little tap down to make sure as well, but it's gone on generally well, which is good. So that's the bottom ring on. Again, we're just going to give it a little gentle punch tap, and a little bit there, and that's now done, and we're ready to cut it. Right, so that's both the rubber boots on. As you can see, we've now cut off the access there, and also the access there, and you can see how we've got just enough rubber boot for movement, but not too much, so that hopefully it won't get caught up on things, which we did find on one of them when we fitted the boot. We left a little bit more access and found that it did catch up, so we now always try and get them as tight as we can, but still with enough movement. What we're doing now is just degrease that, and it'll be ready for us to paint the areas we want to paint. Right, so that's it all masking taped now, ready to paint. And again, although it takes a little bit of time to masking tape, we find it looks a lot more tidier when you take the masking tape off, and also it stops you having to be so careful when you're painting it about getting it onto these rubber boots, or it means you've got to try and clean it off new rubber boots. Now we're all ready to paint it, and we've got some string on there ready to hang it up. Right, so we've now got our drive shaft painted, and it's hanging up to dry, and as you can see we've got the longer drive shaft from the other side being done as well. It's one of those things you want to do together, because when you remove the drive shafts the oil comes out of the gearbox. So if you did the side that needed doing, and then a few months later the other side needed doing, and you want to take it out and do it like this, you'd lose all your gearbox oil again. So if you're going to do this job, although it takes slightly longer, it's certainly well worth doing both together, which is what we've done. But I've only been showing you the process of one, because the other side is more or less going to be the same. So once they've dried, we get all the masking tape off, and they'll be refurbished and ready to fit. Right, so as you can see there, that is our drive shaft finished after we've checked it all over and refurbished it, of course, with the new boots, both ends, and completely painted, cleaned and re-greased. All we've got to do now is get the masking paper off the other drive shaft as well, and both those drive shafts are done, back ready to fit. Hopefully this video has been of use to you and showed you the process that we follow if we are going to change the boots on both drive shafts. As always, don't forget to check our channel for other videos on our Rovers, and of course our Instagram and Twitter page as well. As always, thank you very much for watching.